Welcome. I am Steve Lambert from the Center for Artistic Activism, and this is
Rebecca. Hi, I'm Rebecca Bray, also co-director of the Center for Artistic Activism. Hello.
yeah,
So,
and
you.
we've got a couple of exciting guests here. We will introduce in a minute. But the Center for Artistic Activism, we know these two guys from programs that we're running. One is the Regional Creative Hubs, which Rebecca, I'll let you give a quick summary of.
Sure. So we're working with artists, activists, and investigative journalists in 7 countries in the Western Balkans and West Africa. And we're doing a training of trainers program around creative activism, which has been a wonderful experience. We're in year 2 of it, and Dragana is here, one of the participants in the program in the West Balkans. And Keyti is one of the mentors and trainers who has been working on that project with us. And we had the great benefit of training alongside him in Senegal a year ago.
Yeah. And Lu came to us through our Unstoppable Voters project, which was around the election, the recent election in the US, and the aftermath of the election. And Lu was working on a project to make songs for after the election that kind of unify people, bring them together, keep them safe, and keep them active. So this is like the first time that these two have met, and maybe the first intersection of these two different programs that we're running, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of exciting. So we have people arriving. That's good. We're going to be recording this. If you have a bad connection or something, it'll be on the Center for Artistic Activism site. I want to point out a couple of people that are here. Beth, who has helped make a lot of this stuff happen. Hi. James Miles, who is an educator in
Seattle.
Seattle. Yes. Who has some real wisdom when it comes to education and music, and we might call upon later Rachel Gita Karp and Marlene Ramirez Cancio, who both help make these projects happen. And Connor Smith too, who helps make some of these projects happen. So thanks to all of them. And I'm sure there are many other special people. So let's get started. We'll introduce Keyti and then Lu and show you some of what they do. How does that sound? Good? Okay.
Great.
Rebecca's nodding. So Keyti is known as one of the pioneers of Senegalese hip hop. He had a career in his former group Rappé, which hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, and started a solo career in 2003 and has participated in a number of projects with other artists, both in Senegal and the rest of Africa. Outside of his artistic work, Keyti is also involved in social and educational projects such as the Prison Tour or YUMA, Youth Urban Media Academy, dedicated to providing writing workshops and trainings in digital media to convicts and ex-convicts to ensure their reintegration into Senegalese society. And in 2013, he founded the Journal Rappé with Human, another leading rapper in Senegal. And Journal Rappé is one of our favorite projects at the Center for Artistic Activism. It's a news broadcasting program where presenters and correspondents rap the news stories. It's a combination of a history of hip hop and the opportunities of new technologies that constitutes a key example of the vibrant creativity, but also of the social commitment of youth in Senegal. It's a transmedia format that's disseminated across multiple platforms, radio, TV, and the internet, and offers a space to contest the hegemonic media and political discourses. It has fostered a new citizen artist journalism, and that might be an understatement, the way that it is spread, with in-depth commentaries on political, social, and economic issues that challenges the boundaries between art, activism, journalism, and digital media. And for the folks here in the US, the way that I explain this sometimes in one short sentence is, it's like John Oliver, like in-depth investigative reporting, but instead of funny, like substitute most of the humor with hip hop, but keep some of the humor. Then you've maybe.
That's exactly it.
So Keyti, we've got some images here and we've got a video. Do you want me to go right into the video, or is there something?
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
go.
So let's do that. Here we go.
Bienvenue, installez-vous, on a des nouvelles pour vous. Il y a des bonnes, il y a des mauvaises, mais il y a des nouvelles pour vous.
Meet Keyti and Lu, the two rappers behind Le Journal Rappé, the rap news show demanding the attention of Senegalese youth.
ci carnet bor yi lañ ñu bindal ay njiit yu foog ne mën nañ soppi réew mi ak ndimbal Chinois yi may ñu ñeenti milliards ñu dellu sant dellu siyaar ñu daan ni rek ubbi marché wàññi douane jox leen géej tay le suuf mënuñu muñ doole yuwaan ñun daal
Afrique mon Afrique, Afrique mon Afrique des fiers criminels génocidaires, Afrique des chefs de guerre, des xénophobes, des sanguinaires, Afrique des coups d'état, des coups de force, des présidents militaires, Afrique paradis des mercenaires, Afrique de Kadhafi, Gbagbo et Blé-Goudé, de Charles Taylor, Mobutu et Sénabré, Afrique de la pensée unique des dictateurs comme El Béchir, Afrique enfant immature qui refuse de grandir. Pourquoi l'ancien colon a un cadeau spécial, un tribunal à la fois pénal et même international? Pour ne pas faire de jaloux, on y jugera tous les grands assassins. Tous ceux qui à travers le monde ont du sang sur les mains, sauf peut-être les Russes, les Chinois, les Israéliens, les chefs arabes et bien évidemment les Américains.
Le Journal Rappé is one particular platform that keeps the youth engaged by giving the news in a rap format.
Au Sénégal, il y a beaucoup de personnes qui sont des illettrés, des analphabètes, qui n'écoutent pas le journal, qui ne vont pas forcément chercher le fond le fond de vérité, mais qui vont s'arrêter au titre, au sensationnel. Et les sensationnels, généralement, ce sont ceux qui font les revues de presse qui le font. On s'est dit, mais attends, ce serait pas mal justement qu'on essaie de donner ce point de vue au Sénégalais lambda, pour lui dire, écoute, il faut que tu apprennes à réfléchir différemment. Et donc, c'est tout cela qui a fait que le JTR est né.
While the Journal Rappé has been well received and holds great potential, making the show has not been easy. However, the duo continues their journey, creating content that is reaching Senegalese youth around the world and inspiring other countries to think differently about news.
Publicité. Vous n'y avez jamais pensé, mais Bill Gates l'a réalisé. L'homme le plus riche du monde, avec sa fondation, veut éradiquer la soif dans le monde. De l'eau potable qui sort de vos toilettes. C'est possible. C'est pas du caca-cola, c'est du cacahuète. Cacahuète. Le caca change avec Bill Gates. Cacahuète, bientôt au Sénégal.
L'Afrique n'est pas que guerre, c'est destruction. En effet, le continent est en construction. Université, autoroute, tunnels et ponts. Mais faut que ça reste scandale et détournement de fonds.
Okay. So Keyti, what else do we need to know?
What else? That Journal Rappé was carried out in other countries, almost 10 other countries, and some of them we worked directly with the artists there. We went there, trained them, and with the help of some of our partners, we were able to give them some equipment, so they could also have their own Journal Rappé. And one thing we really make sure of is that we don't have any hold on what they're doing with their Journal Rappé. Because the main idea when we created this was, if we can replicate it somewhere else, if it can help people bring the message out, if it can help young people especially be aware of what is happening in their country, what their power is, how they can change things, then we don't want to have any license over this. And we gladly explain how we do it. Even for countries like Guinea, for example, it's just some artists who saw the Journal Rappé on the internet, liked the idea, wanted to do the same. They had their own equipment. So they just sent a message through WhatsApp, and telling us like, guys, look, we really want to do the same thing here. And we're like, okay, if you've got questions, we can answer them. And they sent questions, emails. When they filmed their pilot, they sent it via WhatsApp. Both Kuman and me sat down to watch it, made remarks, and explained some of the tricks we're using with Adobe, for example, to make certain graphics. And now, when you look at their Journal Rappé, you can really see that they've been really applying some of the advices we were giving them, and that's really what it is about.
It's amazing that you were able to, I mean, to coordinate it in such an informal way over chat on WhatsApp, and that the loose grip you have on how it's done, it's like, here's our example, you can do it your way, allows for that, right? That you can just send a few notes over text and kind of let them run.
I mean, I think the context we are in, that's the only way you can develop such an idea. It can't be about business, because if it is about business, there is very little to earn. And then an idea that could have been revolutionary, that could have helped other people, would then be blocked. Right. And even when we started the Journal Rappé in 2013, we had released when we released, because the first episode of Journal Rappé, this is the story, and it's a true story. We had recorded it, and it was a pilot. And even if you look at the text, most of the text in the first episode, there are so many mistakes, because you were just like, okay, this is just for example, it's okay, we'll correct it later. And then it was put on the internet, but private. And then the community manager who was responsible for that profile on YouTube, he made it public, while that was not the idea. We really had put it there for some people to go and check, give them a link. And when he made it public, it was shared on Facebook. And because we had the pilot for 6 months, looking for a TV partner, all of them were like, this is beautiful, this is really nice, we really want it. But they were scared of the political message in the show. So for 6 months, we really didn't have any TV partner. But the day it was shared on Facebook, it went viral. It went viral in the Senegalese community on Facebook, and it was shared around 11 in the morning a.m. And by 7 p.m., one TV called, like, guys, we got your contract. So we released the second episode, and people went even crazier. And then the major telephone operator here in Senegal, which is Orange also got a platform for pay-per-view. So Orange called us, and we went to a meeting, and they proposed actually to pay for the production of each episode, and then give us 33% of the revenues once it's on their platform. We were like, look, guys, we are broke. We don't have a dime right now. But the truth is, if this goes on a pay-per-view platform, that will be the death of the program.
Right.
This program is successful because, the people it's destined to, they got it for free and it's accessible. So if we want, we can work on something totally different, but this remains free. And I think those are some of the decisions you got to take as an artist when you have programs like this that can be a big commercial hit, but then maybe you can earn money from the beginning, but then the lifespan of the program gets short. And sure. I think we were smart enough not to accept that proposal and just continue producing it for free. And we produced it for free for actually 3 years, and it's the 4th year that the Open Society joined in and gave us a bit of support.
I didn't realize it was that late in the project. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know more, but I want to bring Lu into this, and I'll just talk a bit about Lu. Like I mentioned before, he was part of our Unstoppable Voters program, and he's a co-founder of the Peace Poets. He's a cultural worker, a poet, journalist, an MC, and an organizer. And he shares music at rallies and in the streets, in hospitals and on stages, inside prisons and in front of precincts. He works with communities for collective healing and liberation in the Bronx, Latin America, Africa, and Asia. And Lu's work, as he says, is to sing truth to power. You can find him building circles with music and poetry in the struggle for human rights in the Bronx, Colombia, Sudan, Puerto Rico, Oakland, Palestine, Afghanistan, Haiti, and at home in the city. He is a graduate also of Fordham University with a BA in Peace and Justice Studies and a focus on health and healing. He teaches and learns poetry with the young folks in his neighborhood. You're also a facilitator with the Wildfire Project, which works with frontline groups to cultivate a culture of connection that honors ourselves, protects our people, and builds our power, and has been working at the Kingsbridge Heights Community Center, where he's been teaching and learning poetry since 2008. So Lu, what else do we need to know about the Peace Poets?
Peace, Steve. Thank you. Peace, Keyti, Rebecca, everyone. Just so happy to be with y'all. Feeling really grateful to be here with you, and yeah, just appreciating your presence. So starting with gratitude. So I'm here in the BX on Lenape land, also known as the Bronx, and thank you for bringing up this picture. So you can see my brothers right here. This is Franz Jerome, Abe Velasquez, Emmanuel Candelario, Frankie Lopez, and me there in the middle with a little bit less hair than I currently have. And yeah, we're the Peace Poets. So we're basically best friends who came up together, rapping, doing spoken word poetry. And it kind of feels special right now to be celebrating them because I've been away for a while and now I'm back in the Bronx. And yesterday we kind of got to the end of a little work day and we just put on a beat. And Frankie turned around, he gave me that look like, y'all already know, it's just time to freestyle right now. And so I guess what, I then had this experience, which is like, just with my brothers, just getting into a zone. And I wanted to start there because that's where we start. We start in a place of just doing it for each other and for ourselves to get free, to rap, to sing, to write poetry for our own mental health, for our spiritual health, for our community. That's how we have, in our experience, connected to those around us in the realest possible way. And I can't tell our story without shouting out the Brotherhood Sister Soul, who's an organization in Harlem where we came up, and every Friday night we would go to Bro Sis and have a cipher they called Lyrical Circle. And so at one point we were definitely into our artistry, but then we were also organizers. We were activists. We were showing up with families who lost their loved ones to police murder in our neighborhood. We were going in the streets with them and marching to the precinct. We were going downtown to One Police Plaza to show up. We were also doing things for students to protest the hikes of tuition. And at the same time, right, we're gathering on Friday nights and writing these poems and hip hop songs and spitting for each other. And eventually it just became clear, like, oh, we got to bring this to the rally. We got to bring this to the march. Like, our people need this medicine right now. And so that's kind of what happened with the Peace Poets. Basically, one day, some homies were organizing an action in Brooklyn at not City Hall, but Brooklyn Supreme Court. And we walked into that Supreme Court, and when they tried to auction off a house that was being sold back to the banks that got bailed out, when the people got sold out, all of a sudden that courtroom was just filled with, listen, auctioneer, all the people here, we're asking you to hold all the sails right now. We're going to survive, but we don't know how. Listen, auctioneer. And in that moment, the whole courtroom froze. And we didn't know what was going to happen when we interrupted that auction. It was an act of civil disobedience. But what soon became apparent was that it was going to be a very different response than if we had stood up and started yelling, or we had, just like gotten all raucous. They were just kind of like in a trance with the song. And when we sang that song that day, it was recorded illegally because you can't record in courtrooms. But that recording then was shared with people doing housing or organizing all over the country. And people started interrupting housing auctions with that song and sending us the videos. And people all over the place would say, wow, like you gave us a tool, a weapon for this struggle. And so for the Peace Poets, we realized in that moment and for the last years, we've been dedicating our work to make sure people have the right song that's specifically for their action, for their campaign, for their movement, whether it be for climate justice, racial justice, migrant justice. And we've done this work at the border in front of detention centers. We've done it all like every street march in New York, to shut down Rikers, the jail we got out here. We've done it in our state house in Albany and filled up that whole space, so every one of those actions has a story where music filled up a space and the people's voice was more powerful than what we were fighting against. And so that's why we do what we do.
That's great. Let's get into it. Let's talk. The first question I have for you guys is just, both of you have roots in hip hop and then sort of have brought in other elements or, moved in other directions. But my first question is, what was your first hip hop record that you bought with your own money? And I want Rebecca to answer this first.
Mine was Fear of a Black Planet.
Okay, great.
I think I bought it in 91 or 92. So not right when it came out, but
nice.
Huge, yeah.
I think mine was Run DMC's Tougher Than Leather.
Oh yeah.
But Lou, what about you?
Mine was probably Beats, Rhymes, and Life. Or I don't know. I feel like that might have actually been given to me. Tribe was definitely one of my first influences where I was just like, this is everything. But I think it actually maybe was literally given to me on a cassette tape by my boy, shout out Alan Quinn. But if it wasn't that, no, I think it was that. But maybe I gotta shout out Black Star because that was one of the ones where I was like, I have to do this.
Okay.
Most
and KT, I'm kind of curious what you had access to. And you are muted. And I don't like it. You're muted. Yeah. KT, you're muted. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I was saying actually the group that influenced me the most, and that's because that's the first group I listened to, was Public Enemy. But the first tapes I bought with my own money, it was actually 2 cassettes, and it was Cool J Rap and DJ Polo, Wanted Dead or Alive, and Ice-T, The Iceberg. And that was in 1990.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have this sort of musical background, and we talked a little bit about the problems that you were looking to solve with your projects, each of your projects, right? Lou, you described this sort of courtroom and intervening and having it be meaningful and impactful, and KT, like this problem around both getting information out to people, but literacy and like how you can get it in a way that they can understand. So when you went to initially solve these problems, what were some mistakes that you made and how you went about it in the beginning? Lou, I can see you smiling.
No, I think for Journal Rappé, in the beginning, from the very beginning, it was maybe not really having an idea of who our audience could be.
Mm.
We knew the audience we wanted to touch, but then after 1 month, we realized that we were even touching further than young people, you know. And yeah, of course, that brings you to rearrange whatever you're doing, because now you've got this audience where there are not only young people, but there are also parents, adults, you know, and now you have to do this work of keeping a balance between having a language. And I think maybe when we will go on when we will talk about language, I can go deeper on that. But basically keeping a balance between having a street language and a sort of academic Wolof, so that all of your audience can understand. So I think basically that was one of the main things we had to work on months after we started Journal Rappé.
That's such a common thing, is like to not anticipate success. You know, we see that very often. Lu, what about you? What was the mistake that you made initially?
I mean, just to pick up on what Keyti is saying, like the thinking about audience is so vital. And so actually we were so used to yelling at the adversary, you know, whether it was like the cops or the judge or the corporation, that, you know, most of the songs were all like that, right? Like and doing the work of just going straight for them. And so what does that mean? It means most of the time we singing with a lot of like rage, right? But there's other emotions to tap into.
Mm.
And so I feel like what we got to, you know, I mean, there's one song where we took over like the State House in Albany, in the capital of New York, being like, no more solitary confinement. The voice of freedom ain't quiet. Cuomo, hear us now, no more. You know, and we sang that outside of the Senate. They had to stop session because there's an area where there's windows, and we just banging on the windows, rocking out, you know. And it was beautiful to say no more solitary confinement. The voice of freedom ain't quiet. And then we said, Cuomo, hear us now. And, you know, the governor of New York. Now that was important in that moment, but then the song could quickly shift. And when you just changed Cuomo to New York, we were able to do that song in actions in the middle, in the city too, you know, where we were also like, New York, hear us now, no more solitary confinement, you know, just like having a different song, and then we were just speaking to the people in the city, New York, hear us now. And people were like, okay, like bobbing their head before they could listen to what we were saying. So I think that's an example of like we going from like the just being in our rage to using music to actually be more open to our audience and have different audiences.
Great. Both of you guys have ways of preparing your audiences for the musical part of it, right? I noticed that in every Journal Rappé, it starts with bonjour, welcome, make yourself comfortable. These are the news for you, some good ones, some bad ones too. And then you repeat it twice.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone starts that way. And there's like the same theme, and it's about 40 seconds, 60 seconds before you start, right?
Yeah.
And Lu, you have these like ways of getting people's attention through call and response, just to get the focus. Why is that kind of audience preparation important? And you know, because you clearly think about it a lot.
Yeah, I think it is for identification, because I think successful is not only in terms of the number of views you get, how much money you get from your product, or how many people showed up to your concert. But I think success really starts with people going back with something, you know, whether it's a feeling, or it's a word, it's a sentence, it's an image. And actually, that's what we're trying to do with Journal Rappé. With, you know, those parts we're repeating, and people know, okay, this is how it goes. This is the structure of the show, you know. And so it gives them a sense of, actually, I know I'm part of it, you know, and that helps us to connect very easily with the audience, you know. And we've been doing live shows with Journal Rappé, and actually, whenever we step on stage, you've got like the crowd like shouting "Bonjour," you know. I mean, stuff like that at the beginning of the show makes everything easy, you know. And that comes, for us, that comes from our career as rappers, because when you go on stage, you know, one of the most crucial things is connecting with the people right from the start, you know, for you as an artist to have a good show. And that goes with calls and responses, you know. And so having that integrated in our show makes it really, really easier.
Lou, what about you?
I mean, you already know, being in the streets at an action, at a protest, a lot of times it's just getting people's attention because things was crazy, right? So it never hurts to start with, when I say people, y'all say power, people,
Power.
Yeah, that's right. I knew it. You know what I'm saying? It's inevitable, right? So it just comes through. And so then, just like Keyti, you just said, it's that connection immediately. And it's also the content of the connection is we're celebrating people power. Like, damn, okay,
Yeah.
we just not only said people power, but we felt it because we heard our collective voice. And so for me, that's what it's about. Like just off jump, get the power of the people in the room and connect our voices. And then you could say a lot more about what it is to actually connect our voices at the same vibration.
One thing, Lou, just to follow up on that, we've talked before about some of your methods that you've developed over time of getting people to both sing together, but also learn songs together, which can be complex, and it can be hard for people to immediately learn a song and sing it all together. And I wonder if you can talk about some of your process of getting that to happen.
Yeah, it's like, again, back to the, thanks, Rebecca, Steve's question of just like, how did you, what were mistakes you made at the beginning? And for me, it was like, all right, y'all, here it goes, and it would be a hella long song. And I'd be like, come on, like, you got this, but there's so much actually in just doing the work to create a short song that feels accessible. And so even when you do, right, we had a 4-line song, and we were in Oakland during the uprising this summer, and I was rolling with 2 young people. And I'm like, all right, y'all, let's get this chant popping. Here we go. And they're like, all right, how's it go? And I was like, it's like this. Defund the police, give that money to community till Black people free. We are rising up in unity. And they were like, yo, whoa, that's too long. That's too long. I was like, damn, that's too long. I was like, I got longer ones, man. So what? But I'm like, no, don't worry. I got you. Like, we're going to just teach folks. And so to your point, Rebecca, like the method we've developed is to be like, what's up, everybody? Like, how y'all feeling? You get people's attention with the people power. And then to be able to be like, we're going to say these words before we sing them. Defund the police, and the whole crowd, defund the police. So they're not singing and worried about a melody or anything. They're just speaking the words, give that money to community. And they're like, word, give that money to community. So it allows them, one, to learn it, but also to connect to the message in saying it themselves. And so for us, that's just essential, because then you're like, all right, now let's sing it. They're like, cool, I just, that was only 4 lines. I got this. They have a lot more confidence, I feel like.
Yeah. How do you do it when you have a really big crowd? Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Keyti also knows about the methods of, getting like the voice all the way to the back of a big crowd. But for us, when we don't have a proper sound system, then we've had to really use like the same things that the movement has developed in terms of using a mic check to make sure everyone can hear it, repeats it, you know, and then people beyond them repeat it. But with music, it's actually easier, because if you can get like a critical mass, people will feel the vibration and they'll feel the movement and they'll want to know what people are singing. So they'll even like get closer or listen harder. And so that's my experience. Yeah, of just making sure you like.
Yeah,
and I guess
I think there's,
yeah, go ahead.
There's also this technique of sort of in a playful way to create a sort of antagonism in the audience. One part says this, the other part says that, you know, and who's gonna be louder, you know, and stuff like that are really easy. I mean, they're easy techniques to energize the people, but also to get the whole audience, no matter how big it is, you know, to get together, you know. And once it's performed, they really realize how they're sort of completing each other, you know, because the other side knows that what I'm doing doesn't make sense if the other side doesn't respond. So it creates a sort of communion, and those are easy techniques you can use with a large audience.
That's right. It actually makes me think about a lot of, I know what the Center for Artist Activism talks about is the use of humor. Because once you're doing that, you know, you're like, let me hear everybody on the left, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like,
Yeah.
what's good, y'all? Y'all didn't eat breakfast? Come on, I can't even hear nobody, you know? And you get to have the banter with the crowd too when you're doing that, when you're teaching it, which also feels important, you know?
Well, I was just gonna bring up the, you talk about this in this video that we can post in the chat that we made with you, but like connecting with an audience and like using vulnerability as a way to connect. And you always sort of talk about something that's going on with you at the beginning that's like a little vulnerable, so that they're like, oh, this is a real person, you know? And with Keyti, there's another sort of kind of sincerity where I think in all those shows, even though there's some stuff that's definitely funny and you have a sense of satire and you're wearing these suits and like sort of parodying the format of the news, you never, as far as I can tell, you don't really say anything that you don't mean, you know? There might be jokes, but deep down it's like, everything is pretty heartfelt and thought through. But yeah, so there's like two different uses of sincerity there, and we're talking about comedy too. And usually when we think about comedy, we think about sarcasm, but I like to think about comedy in terms of sincerity also, you know, like how can you be sincere and funny? And both of you find ways to do that, but I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit more.
I think with Journal Rappé, maybe sometimes some episodes might be confusing for some people. And what's really funny is when it comes to our audience, the same people commenting on one episode of Journal Rappé can be like, whoa, this is dope. Whoa, what you said there was true. Next episode, you say something. It's like, yeah, this is bullshit. You know, you guys don't know what you're talking about. So, and that's really the point. We're not really trying to convince people. We're just putting our opinion out there. We analyze the news and put it out there. And then if you disagree, you're allowed to disagree. You're allowed to have your own opinion, because that's the point. That's the whole point, for people to take time and reflect on what's been going on, decision that's been taken by the government, or something that happened somewhere in the world, for people to have their own opinion and to voice it. And one of, really, when we started Journal Rappé, one of the major points Human and me agreed on very early, it's like, look, there's a lot of deconstruction to do here when it comes to authority. Because we are in a particular context where for a long time, someone who comes to you wearing a suit and a tie and speaks French, necessarily he got power. So A lot of people have been conned by people wearing suits and tie, speaking French, and then they steal their money and run away. So we were like, okay, we got to deconstruct that idea. We got to wear those suits and tie and absolutely not be serious, you know? So do dumb stuff, say dumb stuff, so people can start like, yeah, what's going on here? And, you know, for example, even with the government giving the president some names, some funny names, people laughing about it, all of those things participate into shattering the myth of authority. Because again, language is really, 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 really important, particularly in our context. And I'm always giving that example. A government is a government, a republic is a republic. But in Wolof, the Senegalese main language, and even in other local languages, we don't have a word for government. We don't have a word for president. So what we do, the traditional words we had, so the president, if we say it in Wolof, is Borom Rewmi, the owner of this country. That means a lot. It goes into people's conscience. When you talk about government, you talk about the kingdom, Ngurgi. So like, we were like, okay, the only way, because since we don't have proper words to define these things, the only way we can deconstruct it is by making fun of these people. Telling people that these are human beings and we can make fun of them. So basically, that's really the approach we had with all of that.
I'm so glad to hear this from you, because it's not something that you can get really, or I could get as an American just watching the videos. You know, like there's just like a surface level of what you just said that I could understand, but that's great to hear. Lu, what about you? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, Keyti, thank you so much for that. I love like the thought behind it. That's actually saying we see what you're doing. Like we see their theater, you know, that creates their rules, right? That is a system that they use to exploit, to abuse the people.
Exactly.
We're about to break all those rules, right? And I feel like that's actually similar to what we're doing. We're gonna sing in your courtrooms. We're gonna dance in your streets. We're gonna like rap in your school. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna happen. Like when we do, there's actually something that I feel like for us, what's behind the scenes is sometimes we're also breaking the rules of our social movements. You know, they say, "Oh, y'all the ones who just show up and chant. We know this already. We've seen this." And they're like, "Nah, you're not ready for us to harmonize, though. You know, you ain't ready to be moved by how beautiful this is." And that's what we really do a lot of times in terms of sincerity, to bring it back to that point of like, you're also not ready for the person on the mic who you think is about to make a political speech to say, like, I woke up with anxiety this morning. I feel nervous for those I love, right? You know, I can't forget about the fact, you know, the thing that Mrs. Ba told me after her son Muhammad was shot to death by the police in Harlem. It stays with me, and I think about it before when I'm trying to go to sleep, you know. And suddenly we're not in a story about the bullet points of a political presentation. We're in the human truth that we're experiencing. And suddenly when people are like, whoa, maybe I can be fully human here too, and I could be, you know, honest about my anxiety. And so we're breaking those rules so we can be more fully human. And when we more fully human, we're already more embodying the world we out here trying to build. That's the way I like to think about it.
One question I have is like talking about breaking some of those rules of regular protest, but also, you know, there's a long history of song and protest. You know, everything from work songs, civil rights songs. In Senegal, there's a history of music and protest, right? But both of you are also breaking with those traditions, I think, right? Of of how song is used in protest. And Lu, I know we've talked to you about this a bit, but Keyti, do you have thoughts too about?
Yeah, of course there are lots of protest songs here. Most of them written in the 70s when there were basically only one party ruling and the rest of the opposition was underground. The only way they had to resist was through arts. So they wrote a lot of songs, they wrote a lot of plays. And until now, you hear the songs, even though this generation doesn't know that it's coming from the opposition from the 70s. But with Journal Rappé, we've had we had decided of a different approach, because one of our main focus was like, how can we catch people's attention real quick, get them into the scene right away. And if you look at Journal Rappé, since 2013 until the last season, we have remixes of popular songs. We've had remixes of Rihanna's songs, transforming the lyrics, remixes of Stromae, transforming the lyrics. Even for Youssou N'Dour, for example, in one episode, he was covering the news that he had received money from the president to campaign for him. We used his song, the song he did with Nene Cherry, 7 Seconds, and just jacked the lyrics, transformed them, and adapted them to the context. So, in that way, it's like when we have those skits during Journal Rappé, it's like everybody, when the song starts, people are like, wait, I know these songs. This is Rihanna's. Or, oh, no, this is Capleton's. And then when it comes in, they already know the melody. They can just sing the melody, but then the lyrics are different. And actually, some of those skits Homan's been making, like even outside of Journal Rappé, some of them became pretty popular, because they're funny, because people can relate to the song, because the song is basically from these last years. They've been listening to the original version for a long time, so it's really easy for them for those skits to be catchy. So basically that's how we've been using music for these small protest melodies, and integrate them into Journal Rappé.
Yeah, that's cool. And Lu, what is your relationship to kind of traditional protest song?
Well, now that we already talking about the inside rebellion that we be having within movements, for me, a lot of times, I came up and a lot of my elders and mentors, would take the streets and with full, not even thinking about it, just for the 8,000th time, be like, deep in my heart, I do believe. And I was like, yo, I feel this is beautiful. I love it, but I'm also I'm not going to sing this every time, and so the reason for me that I want to create new things all the time is because I think part of my rebellion against capitalism is to be like, no, we're creators. We're not just consumers. We're creators. We can create whatever we want. Like I write songs with communities so that the community themselves isn't just like, oh, there's the artist. He brought the song. Give us the song, please. I'm more like, nah, y'all, what do you want to say? And so we could write a song with, people who just got home from prison who were there trying to get the other folks who are trying to come home. And it's like, why do we want them to come home? It's like, because we need their love, and it's like, word, that's a beautiful lyric, So one of the young people whose, uncle was locked up wrote that or said that in the meeting, and that became the song. And so the next week they're there in person, having the experience of never having maybe written a song in their life and having 200 people sing, our elders should be home with us, 'cause every day we need their love. And that moment, right, of being like, wow, you know, I wrote that song because it's true, right? And now 200 people sang it to demand that my uncle and all the other people who are aging folks in our prisons in New York State be released to come home. And people just resonate so deep. So the levels again are of rebellion are layered. Like we're having a social rebellion that's also like, nah, we don't need an old song. We're creators, you know?
That I mean, it also brings like the fact that so many protests are just whose streets, our streets, and just the same things again and again. It's just like, oh my gosh, we don't have to do that. We have so much inventiveness and we can make it personal and real and of this moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
We can, but also just shout out to the artists who do that, you know, like I, you know, everybody, like all these MCs and now the whole world, they could be creating news, but who did it? Like Keyti and his people did it, you know, like you did it, right? Like you took that initiative, and that's the way it works. And then when people could see you do it, then it's like, yeah, there was that echo, right? The people in other places. So just shout out to that initiative.
Nice. I wonder if anyone else has a question.
Yeah, and you can just unmute yourself and ask, or you can type it into the chat. And while we wait for that, James Miles was here before, and he had said something in a different meeting we were in that I was going to bring up because it's happened a few times here. We were talking about how in the Center for Artistic Activism, we talk about like cognitive science and how the brain works and how art works within like what we know about how the brain works. And he was saying that music especially does this thing. He knows all the technical terms. I don't remember them, but because of the rhythm and because of the melody, it actually kind of puts your brain in this other state where you can hear messages while being calm. You know, like it calms your body, and then you can hear these things that might be challenging, where if your body wasn't calm or you weren't in this other state, hearing those same words or that same idea would be much more challenging and difficult. And Lu, I think like the thing that you just said, and even the words that you choose sort of get to that and allow people to hear it in a way where if you just read them on a page or had it delivered in a straight news format, the truth in a suit in French, it's just not going to be heard the same way, you know? Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question, Steve.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much. I was a bit late, so I'm sorry if you covered this, but I'm working with Rebecca and Steve and Rachel right now on access to the vaccine for COVID-19, right? Making sure that people who want it can take it. And we're working with a lot of young people who I think are trying to sort of take that first step as well, and playing around with these ideas that you've touched on and that you're so amazing at. And I just wondered if you had any thoughts or messages for those people who are sort of, you know, in their first protests, starting out and sort of want to, but are feeling anxious about maybe taking that leap. So if you had any thoughts for those folks.
I don't know. I think one of the things I personally learned from, and I learned it from Humana, because I'm sort of an artist who really likes to take his time to think through things. And Human is really like, you know, we're sitting there, one idea pops up, okay, let's go and do it. You know, and that spontaneity, you know, it carries a lot with it. And most of the stuff you come up with are raw, you know. And I think since we were talking about sincerity, that's actually, it can be funny and everything, but the sincerity lies there. It's spontaneous. You felt it, you did it, you know. And I think as long as it's sincere, it allows you also to make mistakes, to realize that you've made mistakes, and then next time to correct yourself. And that's the thing, is there's no proper framework of, yeah, if I want to be an artist activist, this is how I want to do it. No, absolutely not. You do it your way, you do it, you make your mistakes, you do it, and you learn while doing it, you know? So, and I think that's the bigger thing. And if there are people who are around, you know, trying to help them, they should also be as open to mistakes, to learning new things. Also trust them with new initiatives. That is definitely very, very important. You know, like that they feel safe to realize the ideas they have, feel safe also that they can make mistakes, that this is a learning process.
Thank you.
There's two good questions that came up in the chat from Sarah. One is, what actions are you doing now? And then the other is, do you work on actions that reach people in rural areas?
Word. Yeah, I appreciate all those questions. I feel like they're all connected, you know, getting young people into their first actions in rural areas. I love thinking about that. So my partner is here, and she's we spent some time in like a very small area of Southern Oregon, which I think would be considered a rural area for sure, where we were. And one day I was just like coming back to the crib, and there's two people standing on the corner with like Black Lives Matter signs and like Green New Deal signs. And I was like, oh, wow, what's up, y'all? You know, like this is a different type of action, you know? And they were like, yep, do this every Friday. We just want to be a presence to say Black Lives Matter in our town, you know, like we're out here. And I just like was first of all, just like overwhelmed with like love and affection for them and gratitude. I was just like, oh man, well, can I chill with y'all? Like, you know, and then I started telling them about the Peace Poets. And I'm like, well, we normally like sing at actions. And they were like, that's cool. Want to sing a song? And I was like, hell yeah, let's go. And so we standing on the corner, and you know, the next thing you know, right, like we're the sister that had the Green New Deal sign. I was like, oh, we got a song for the Green New Deal, you know, and they were kind of like, well, you know, there's only three of us. I don't know if this is really going to be like an action, you know, or like a, you know, when you consider a crowd singing in action. And I was like, that's all right. It don't matter. Three of us is, you know, that's good enough. So there we were, like, now's the time that our people need a Green New Deal, jobs, justice, and for us all to heal. If you feel with us, come make it real with us, 'cause now's the time that our people need a Green New Deal. And I felt like I was so overwhelmed that they were even there that I like gave it 110% on the song. You know what I mean? I was on that corner like, you know, like I was really going in, and they were kind of like, okay, all right, we can do this. You know what I mean? Like by the end, the lady with the sign was like, So, I mean, it speaks to all those points, right? Like exactly what Keyti said, no wrong way to do it. You know, the point is that we're in action, and when we're in action, we learn, right? It's praxis. You know, you try something. And for them, like, they were like, you know, I remember actually, so there's many levels to this particular story, because that brother who I met there randomly, like months later, helped me do some of the songs that I did for the Center for Art and Activists, Artistic Activism project, you know, because I just happened to meet him. So we did, you know, he was like, oh yeah, I do recording, you know, so he helped with that. But the beautiful thing was by the end, he was just told the other woman, he's like, yo, we should sing every Friday. And that to me was like the beautiful moment, you know, because it's like like we can not only take action, we can sing in our action, we can dance in our action, we can celebrate. Yeah.
I love that.
Keyti, what about you and rural areas or projects you got going now? You have the Munich Biennial. I think you should talk about that. Just put that idea in your head.
Sorry?
You should talk about the Munich Biennial.
Yeah, I mean, actually, because the project, the Journal Rappé, like in its approach, is sort of very different from from what Lou is doing, where he's going, meeting the people and stuff. Ours is much more, we do the work and then we put it on a platform and it's accessible to people. And actually the Munich Biennial, we were supposed to be there in May, but then COVID happened. And basically the whole festival was canceled and we were the only acts who were like retained, and they told us, okay, because of your format, you can do something for us. And, you know, we put it on the internet. So at least, you know, the festival, there's something for the festival. So then we recorded 10 episodes where we would go to the studio around 6 p.m. and get out of the studio the next day at 12 p.m. And when we get there at 6, we create the music, write the lyrics, record, film, edit, send to Germany.
Wow.
So all 10 episodes were recorded like that, you know. So basically, towards the end, I had my yoga mat. I had it with me in the studio because it was also, we had a curfew in Dakar. So once you get in, you can't get out. So that's how we recorded the 10 episodes. And then we had proposed them instead of picking up random subjects, you know, to really make it all about Africa. So those 10 episodes are very different from what we've been doing before, because usually in one episode we would have like 4 or 5 subjects, but for Munich Biennial, it's one subject for each episode, so that we can talk at length about the subject. Coming back to also how we are connecting with maybe people who are inside Senegal. And that's one of the reasons when in the presentation we were saying it's a transmedia format, because we know that not everybody got the internet. People in rural areas cannot, here in Senegal, have access to data, for example, as people in cities. So it goes on TV. The audio part of Journal Rappé goes to the radio, you know, and you know, the way music is shared here is really funny, because even the way music is shared in Dakar is very, very different from the way it's shared inside Senegal. Because inside Senegal, there are these weekly markets, and you've got this one guy in each market who's there and who is putting songs into people's telephone.
Wow.
And getting paid. And actually, some people, for example, at the border of Senegal and Mauritania, that's how they could get all of the audios of Journal Rappé, for example, in their telephone.
Nice.
You know, and you've got to take into account all of those things, that not everybody is going to watch you on the internet. Not everybody is going to watch you on TV. Then they should have the possibility to have the audio version of Journal Rappé. And another thing is, for the last season, we had decided to go more outside of Dakar instead of doing just reporting the news, analyzing the news. We would actually get out of Dakar, take a car, get out of Dakar, go with our camera, and cover subjects. And we did it, for example, in the north. That's where I was born, in Saint Louis, where there is a huge problem of coastal erosion, and some families had actually lost their houses because of the sea, and they were put in some schools for months, sleeping there with their family, and no one had covered it. And we were like, okay, guys, let's go there and, you know, do something, do a reportage about it. And we were there, and you could feel the relief at least some people are here trying to show the rest of Senegal what is happening here, you know. So we did a lot of things like that, going outside of Senegal, or when the government wanted to build a coal factory, polluting all of the villages around. We went there, we covered it, even though there was no authorization. And that is also one way of showing Senegalese people that this show is not only about Dakar. It's not only about the cities. You know, we're interested into talking all of our people's concern. And actually, one way we've been using our Facebook platform was like, okay, if there is something happening in your neighborhood, in your city, in your village, and you think it's worth covering, send us a message. And actually, some of the subjects we were covering started like that. Some people were sending messages like, look, I'm living in this area and the beach is dirty. The government is not cleaning it. There's a lot of pollution here. Can you guys talk about it? And then we would go there with our camera and ask people questions and then write about it in Journal Rappé. So basically, we started from
like remote reporters too, covering in different regions, right? Like,
yeah. Those are like another way to cover inside Senegal, where rappers who are in other parts of Senegal would record themselves, send us the audio, we put it in the music, send it back to them, they do their playback, and like sometimes some of the episodes we were like even recording them from Skype and putting it in the final version. You know, that is also another way of talking about the rest of the rest of Senegal. But it was really important to make all Senegalese people feel that they are part of Journal Rappé, that we can talk about their concerns too, that it's not about only two rappers living in the city and talking about city problems.
Thank you so much. And you guys made my day, maybe my week. This is like, I've really wanted to talk to, I mean, Keyti, I've cornered you and interrogated you in the past, but you know, to be able to do that with both of you and hear the interaction and to share that with other people, I'm just really glad to be able to do that. And I appreciate everybody taking the time. And Lu, I was wondering maybe if you could take us out.
With a song? Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Damn, I don't want to leave either. The chilling is good. I just had to appreciate
you've been giving it all the soul it needed, Lu.
Hey,
definitely.
Likewise. Yo, we got so much more building to do. We got so much.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I have so much to learn from you, Keyti. So we're gonna stay in touch. We're gonna do.
Definitely, we'll stay in touch.
Yes. God willing. So family, yeah, I'm just thinking about, I got so into the conversation, I completely forgot we was going to do a little bit of, you know, singing together just as a way to close. Because one thing we do when we sing together is we join our vibration, not just in a hypothetical way or a poetic way, but in a physical way. We're actually vibrating in the same way and wherever we at. And so I just want to give gratitude for this moment in which we're all gathered here in this cyber circle. It's like just special to have been offered each person here's attention and ideas, even if you didn't share out loud. You know, your engagement in these ideas and in this time with us is really special. Means a lot to me, especially in these days where corporations are fighting for investing billions of dollars for your attention, right? That you pay attention to those in your community is powerful. And so, yeah, I'd love to just offer a song. For me, I wonder what are the different places that we're coming from right now. So, Keyti, I know you're in Dakar, right?
Yeah.
We've got Suma that's in Guinea.
Okay.
And the Netherlands.
My baby in the Netherlands.
Hey, Holland in the house.
So good to see you.
Hey, Bella.
Hi. Sorry. go back on mute.
Dragana,
in
North
Macedonia.
Macedonia.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I was just thinking about, you know, when thinking about a song that is going to feel good, just thinking about where we are both physically and emotionally, like what we're working on. There was the question about what actions we're doing right now that we didn't really get to. But I think at least over here in New York, part of it is a moment of rest and recuperation. You know, a moment of restoration and rebuilding. And there's actually a song that a friend of mine and I wrote on this fire escape right outside that window right there, one Bronx summer night. And it's a song about the fact that we have our medicine in our circle. Right. And so wherever you at right now, like a lot of times, like maybe we need something to help us calm down if we're anxious. Maybe we need something to give us energy if we just tired. But we need some sort of medicine pretty much most of the time to seek that motivation, that balance that we need to be present in a good way to whatever we're doing. And so today, this song simply says the words, can you heal? Yes, I heal. Can you heal? Yes, I heal. We got all our medicine right here. We got all our medicine right here. And so similar, I just want to name for myself that the medicine is community, that the medicine is dreaming together, that it's learning together. You know, like I feel like I just learned a lot in this little bit of time, and it's feeling together. So think about first before we sing, just kind of what it is for you that you need a little bit of right now. Inspiration, energy. You can come off mute and share that if you want with something that you feel like you need. What medicine you might need right now?
I know Meredith, Rebecca, and I need a break. We just finished a big project.
Mm-hmm.
Naps are revolutionary too, right?
Yeah, that's right. What else?
I just really want to go and see my husband in Senegal.
Yeah,
I haven't seen him since February because of the whole situation.
Oh.
Yeah, so I need it.
Yeah,
I need
so I
peace.
think for both of us, I mean, for me, the medicine is really family. You know,
Mm.
My daughter lives here, but yeah, because of COVID, because of school, we don't see as much as we used to. Because of COVID now, like in the same city, yeah, sometimes 2 months, 3 months, you know. But lately, you know, she's been coming every 2 weeks. And I think I'm a family person, you know. So if I could have my daughter and my wife in the same place, that would be wonderful.
Definitely. That's so real. And I think that when we say we got all our medicine right here, the thing is to remember that above all else, our medicine is connection. And so it's here when we can hear each other, when we can see each other, when we can be reminded of the power of our love, then the medicine is here. And so desiring each one of y'all the medicine that you need, reminding each one of y'all that the medicine is in connection with family, with loved ones, with community, with strangers, with Mother Nature, with the rivers, with the trees. The medicine is in connection. And so that's really the size of our circle. That's the size of the universe. If we can be open to what's by our side in the circle with us, to remember that all of our relations are here with us. So this is how the song goes, family. You know, you can stay on mute while we sing, because if you don't, it's going to sound wild. We can maybe do a wild version at the end, but for now we'll mute. And so the song is slightly different than most of the songs I teach, because there's actually a call and response part in the beginning. So I say, can you heal? And you say, yes, I heal. So you can just say it out loud in the space where you are. Can you heal? Yes, I heal.
Yes, I heal.
One more time. Can you heal?
Yes, I heal.
And then we're going to say, we got all our medicine right here. All right, and say that with me. We got all our medicine right here.
We got all our medicines right here.
Perfect. All right, that sounds good. So we're gonna do it like that, and you'll get the flow as we get into it. Don't be shy. Wherever you at, fill that space with song. Goes like this. Can you heal? Yes, I heal. Can you heal? Yes, I heal. We got all our medicine right here. Try that. We got all our medicine right here. And can you heal?
Yes, I heal.
Can you heal?
Yes, I heal.
We got all our medicine right here. We got all our medicine right here. And can you heal? Yes, I
Yes,
heal.
I heal.
Can you heal?
Yes, I heal.
We got all our medicine right here. We got all our medicine right here. And can you heal? Yes, I heal. Can you heal? Yes, I heal. We got all our medicine right here. Celebrate. We got all our medicine right here. And can you heal? Yes, I heal. Can you heal? Yes, I heal. Say we got all our medicine right here. We
got all our medicine
right here. Say we got all our medicine right here. Two more times. We got all our medicine right here. We got all our medicine right here. Yes, KT, thank you for singing with me. Thank you, each one of y'all from wherever you at for singing. I'm just so grateful, y'all, that you like when you join in that powerful affirmation, it is like not just in this moment, but it's a vibration that also spreads from us into the truth, into the rooms next to the room that you are in, into the house next to the house that you are in, right? And so keep spreading the knowledge that we are each other's medicine, that community is medicine, that music is medicine. So grateful.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Yeah.
So grateful for you, for all of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We were able to do this. All right, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
All soon.
Peace.
Peace.